I don't know if it's because of my own tastes, or if it's the games coming out, or maybe a little bit of both, but for the longest time, I've been pretty underwhelmed with the majority of games being released recently. Lots of remakes, psychologically manipulative free-to-play games, and just generally uninspired games that feel like copies of copies of copies of games that came before. If you've been paying attention to the video games that have been coming out, then you probably agree, or can at least understand what I'm talking about. And it's not like games are awful all the time. Maybe it's the rose-tinted glasses talking, but it feels like we used to see a lot more innovation, variety, and creativity with games back in the day. Aside from trying to take advantage of the rapidly advancing graphics and peripherals, there were so many titles that seemed like they were too interested in honing in on what they personally wanted to accomplish to bother ripping someone else off. Sure, it happened back then, but these days it's a given to see knockoffs of any recent games. And take mobile games into account, and you can multiply the soulless abominations tenfold. But enough of Grandpa's whining, because something about 2023 is making me hop out of my rocking chair with intrigue. The year's young, but there's already several upcoming games which have undoubtedly captured my attention. You have the Etrian Odyssey HD trilogy that I talked about in my previous video. The Finals looks really wacky, and my friends can't stop talking about that. I put off working on this video for so long that by the time you're hearing this, the game will already be out, but Meet Your Maker looks so good. I totally got lost in the sauce playing Mario Maker back in the day, so this game is gonna be a continuation of that. I absolutely love games where you can make your own levels. Story of Seasons, A Wonderful Life, that's just a cute little thing. I don't know if I'm gonna play it, but you know, I'll add that to the list. Tekken 8, that's coming around the corner, and there's just probably so many other examples that aren't coming to mind right now, but point being, there's a lot on my mind in the gaming sphere, but there's one in particular that I want to talk about right now, and that one is Exoprimal. Apparently the game has been public knowledge for a while. I don't know if I've just subconsciously ignored it or didn't care, but I only found out it existed the other day. I gave it no thought when I first heard the name in passing online, but that changed when I stumbled upon a sponsored Lord Aethelstan stream. I guess sponsored streams really do help sell their product, because the moment I saw that game, it had my full attention.
Aww. People. Technology. Under threat from dinosaurs. Defending the
Okay, if you say that you've ever witnessed a better intro to a game's plot, then you are fucking lying. The game immediately introduces itself in such a way that you know they probably don't intend on sacrificing fun for the sake of realism. The game feels like a multiplayer shooter that focuses on fun for fun's sake. And if you haven't heard, Exoprimal is a brand spanking new game from Capcom. It's a third-person PvP-PvE hybrid shooter, or PvE-VP, my favorite video game gender. I've seen people compare the game to Anthem, but I can't really comment on that because I haven't played it myself. But that's okay, because neither has anyone else. Man vs. Machine, Black Ops Zombies, Halo's Firefight, just to name a few. PvE is a mode which has been around for a long while. We've fought robots, zombies, aliens, but I don't know if we've seen one with dinosaurs quite like this. Exoprimal's main selling point is the dinosaurs. Lots of dinosaurs. I mean, an absolute butt ton of dinosaurs. You go in there and you just fight so many dinosaurs. I mean, it is like dino after dino. I mean, just look at this clip.
What the fuck?
This is so cool.
What the fuck is this? Is it gonna rain dinosaurs? Is that all dinosaurs?
Yes.
Oh my god, it is. Oh my god!
Fuck.
What the fuck?
Ah!
Wait, that's insane.
Shit,
we didn't
need,
see
like, a
this
force
at all.
field.
What the fuck is it?
Oh my god, it's like raining down the
Holy
side.
shit.
Ah! Oh, Jesus Christ!
Whoa!
Ah!
Lay him down, babe!
If that clip didn't immediately make you want to pick up the game, then I think there might actually be something wrong with you. Like, you gotta get that checked out. I'm sorry, I don't make the rules. All I know is, you bet Jurassic I downloaded the beta right after seeing that clip. Third-person shooters with mechs, games where you fight dinosaurs, and most of the objectives you accomplish here are really nothing new. Individually, all the elements in this game have existed before, time and time again. But there's something about the final product that just hits different, you know? The unique gameplay loop, the comically dramatic swarms of dinosaurs, the fluid ability to change your character and kit on the fly, it just all comes together beautifully. The experience I had while playing the beta just felt so fresh and fun that I was immediately hooked. Even games that I've played the crap out of and adore rarely hit the spot quite the way Exoprimal did. Now, full disclosure, I only played a little bit during the last day of the beta, so I have a very limited experience. I tried out all the characters and equipment in the training area and played one full round of multiplayer. My god, if I wasn't busy and didn't already have things scheduled that day, I would have played until they shut the servers off. That said, it's still fresh and new to me, so it's in that exciting honeymoon phase where a game is so fun, losing doesn't even register because you're having such a ball. Not that I lost, our team actually destroyed, not gonna lie. The key to a good game like this is that it doesn't feel too stale, boring, or repetitive when you've already played a good amount of it. It'll be hard to judge right now since the game modes and time allotted to play have been limited due to the beta, but I'm pretty confident that loss of interest won't be an issue for quite some time. After all, even in the beta, every round is a little different than the last. Not just different players and maps, but different tasks, dinos, events, and who knows what else. Maybe that's all that's different. I don't know. That's why I said who knows. When you'd boot up the beta, the only options you'd have would be the training mode, the tutorial, and something called Dino Survival. Dino Survival is the multiplayer. From what I've seen, that mode mainly consists of you and another team doing PvE tasks without really encountering the other team, followed by a PvE/PvP game in the second half. Again, the game is randomized every time, so maybe I'm misrepresenting how it works or something, but if that's the case, then isn't the first half kind of pointless? If the second half puts you head-to-head against the other team anyway, then the first PvE-centric half just gives whichever team completes the first tasks more quickly an advantage in the second half. Maybe that's the whole point, but I was super confused when I went in blind and saw that's how the round was organized. I was unsure why it wouldn't just start you with the second half from the get-go. It has both the PvP and PvE elements at once, so the first half seems a little redundant to me. It's a beta, so for testing purposes, this gives a sampling of all types of gameplay people can expect once July 14th rolls around. Dino Survival is pretty much a grab bag of randomly selected PvE and PvP tasks and game modes, so if they're looking for a way to show people all the stuff the game has to offer in a limited capacity, fair enough. If we're talking full release, however, I have but one main request. Make a PvE only mode. I don't know if that'll be a separate game mode or maybe that'll be tied to the story mode or something. It'd be crazy if a PvE game didn't have a PvE specific mode. So it almost feels stupid to ask, but I haven't seen any confirmation in writing, so that's still up in the air as of now. Hey, etc. dude from the future here. I'm just popping into the video here while editing it to put a little bit of an update, because as I was working on this video, the Exoprimal team actually did come in with a little bit of an amendment to how they handle the PvE and PvP in the game. I've got their little announcement up on the screen right here. They're pretty much saying that now players will have the option on what the final mission of rounds will look like. And with this update, they're giving players more flexibility with how they want to play the game. Players who prefer PvP can play more PvP-centric, players who like the PvE can focus more on the PvE. I think that's great, though this doesn't necessarily answer the thing I was talking about in the video just now. Just want to make that clear because I know anyone who hears about this announcement while watching this will probably think, oh, but they've addressed that. Not quite. What I mean by PvE only mode is like you should be able to play it with your internet off, like a strictly PvE mode, which I guess you would be playing with other people, so you wouldn't play with the internet off, but you know what I mean. Just like classic, like firefight, like, well, when you think of a PvE game back in the day, just strictly, like, not you competing with another team in PvP, but just you only focus about the enemy, not an enemy team competing with their own PvE. So at the end of the day, it's still a PvEVP, so I guess they are still sticking to that part of the game's spirit. So they're not completely ditching that. I think they have a very strong vision for how the game's supposed to play, so they're still sticking to it. But yeah, just wanted to address that because this is a brand new update that did not exist when I was originally working on this video. So just want to leave that in there. Back to the video. In terms of what'll be available at launch, I'm guessing we'll get more Dino Survival, of course, probably paired with other modes that specifically give you guaranteed game types, like moving the data cube and stuff like that. Or maybe not. Honestly, the gameplay loop in the beta was so bizarre, I'm almost afraid to make any normal predictions. Splitting up the game by modes or having PvE and PvP focused playlists respectively seems like a guarantee to me, but the emphasis on the PvEVP multiplayer in the beta makes me question if they want to split those parts of the game at all. All I know is if you look up fan feedback and reactions online right now, within seconds you'll see people begging for PvE specific modes. I don't think it's a crazy ask. I mean, you can't just put waterfalls of velociraptors and then expect us to go, nah, I want to play Overwatch instead. And don't get me wrong, the PvP is very fun with all the characters and gadgets provided. It's not so much that the PvP is bad, more so that the PvE is so fucking good. So, just in case I wasn't clear, this game needs a PvE only mode. Anything less would be such a waste of potential. Like many other games like this, the cast is split into 3 groups: DPS, tanks, and support. It's a good thing too, because these characters have quite a bit of complexity to them right out of the box. No 2 characters play alike, and it's very clear from the moment you start dissecting their abilities. Alright, let's do a quick roll call. We've got...
Baby's First DPS, Dark Magician Girl, Sonic Drive-In Employee, Wall of Cement, Vessel Powered by God and Anime, Vessel Powered by God and Anime, Junior, Nicolas Cage, Heavy Weapons Guy, Zero G No Scope, and the Hunchback of Alternative Medicine.
So, like I said, each character's kit is pretty expansive even on its own, so covering it all would take quite a while to break down. What I can do is highlight some of my favorite aspects that personally stood out to me from each of the characters. Krieger. He has a giant gun with a crap ton of ammo. Nimbus. Dual-wielding pistols that heal or deal damage while roller skating feels so good. And she can teleport because why not? Deadeye. Your obligatory go-to soldier with a healthy amount of Rudy Tooty McShooty. Doesn't mean he isn't fun to play, just a safe pick for DPS, especially if you're still learning the ropes. Zephyr. Unleash your inner sword weeb by getting up close and personal, slashing and swinging like there's no tomorrow. Murasame, I think it's pronounced. Not gonna lie, I keep getting this guy and Zephyr a little confused, but he's another super strong sword fighter that packs a hell of a punch. If swords could punch, that is. Roadblock. As his name suggests, he can block entire swarms of enemies from encroaching on your team's position with his shield. The animation when he uses his thrusters to push them back is so good. Witch Doctor. He's a grab bag of support buffs, and his hood is also a parachute that can suspend him in midair. Barrage. His attacks are a bit slow for my taste, but there's a reason for that. All of his attacks go boom. Vigilant. I've never seen mid-air sniping built in as a main part of a sniper's kit before. They can leap into the air, and they have a slight hover at the peak of their jump, letting you line up shots mid-air with ease. Honestly, one of my favorite discoveries when exploring the characters, even if my aim is donkey butt. Skywave. Crazy amount of mid-air mobility, and the ability to turn dinosaurs into one of these things. After my short time spent with these guys, if I had to say, Nimbus was my immediate pick. You can argue that they're pretty simple compared to the others, but I've always leaned towards healers. I mained Medic in TF2, I mained Mercy in Overwatch, what can I say? I love the feeling of being able to decide whether everyone I know lives or dies. Lining up shots from medium to long distances to heal or keel while spinning around on rollerblades is just so fun. I don't need some kind of psychological explanation or scientific formula to justify it, it's just fun. And that's the first, second, and third most important thing when you're playing a game. I didn't play much DPS, so my second favorite pick would have to be Krieger. I love slapping the shield rig on him and just unloading a barrage of ammunition. I was curious about what people thought of the different characters, and I was pleasantly surprised by what I saw online. Actually, I guess I wasn't too surprised, but in a short amount of time, I'd seen several testimonies where every exosuit was already at least one person's favorite. It really doesn't surprise me, because in my short test run of each of these characters, it's clear that there's enough diversity and care in each character's kit that no one feels like a throwaway or afterthought. Every character has a role to play, and they're all fun to use. That's not an easy thing to pull off, but thankfully that's the case here. If you don't agree, then leave a death threat in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks, babe. Now, I briefly mentioned a shield rig, so I'll elaborate on that. On top of having unique primary and secondary abilities, alternate firing modes, and mobility, and ultimate abilities, you can also pick a rig. A rig is pretty much another skill that you can equip. These can give you a special attack, an AoE healing circle, or extra mobility, just to name a few. These are all on short cooldowns, and any exosuit can equip any rig. This can lead to some really interesting combos. You can have tanks that heal, healers that can blast you from a distance, or any other combos you can come up with. These rigs can either complement your current kit, or cover a weakness your character couldn't deal with otherwise. On top of all that, there are also craft items, equipment you can deploy on the field like shields and turrets. So, yeah. That means that even if two identical exosuits are duking it out, they can be differently equipped to better handle different situations. This level of complexity can be intimidating at first, but once you're familiar with all the abilities, I think this leads to some real potential for exciting battles to unfold, both in PvE and PvP. So, they're fun to play as, but what about their designs? They're mech suits, so they're pretty cool by default. They all have fairly unique colors and silhouettes to differentiate them from one another. While I do love their designs, there's immediately an issue when you look at their faces. Problem is, half of them don't have any. I mean, I understand why, they're robots, but this is the main cast. These are the lifeblood of the game, and having them essentially be expressionless is a pretty bold choice. They've already confirmed and shown some of the skins that the exosuits can equip, so that's nice. I don't know what it is exactly, but something about the main promotional image for Exoprimal just screams, this game is gonna sell poorly and lose most of its player base within 3 months after release. Of course, I don't want that to happen, but as someone who already loves this game, this promo art is so weak when it comes to marketing itself. That's just my gut reaction when I see it. If I had to guess, I think it's the designs. They match the art style and environment around them, so that's good, but there's something about slapping every robot in the game into one contained space that just turns what are some cool looking characters into this indecipherable mess of random shapes and colors. I mean, the only clearly distinguishable thing in this image are the dinos. I've seen the Land Before Time, I can tell a sharp tooth from a tree star, but once you glance down, I feel like I have to squint my brain just to count how many exosuits are in the image, let alone being able to tell where one robot begins and the other ends when they're all layered on top of each other like that. I know this might sound like another session of me nitpicking some random game-related nonsense, but my concern comes from a marketing standpoint. I should mention that this is a full-price multiplayer game with more purchases to follow. You have to be able to sell this thing and sell it well to justify its existence. First impressions are important in this type of scenario. Hell, if I saw this image and nothing else, I wouldn't even consider downloading the beta, and I certainly wouldn't waste my time making this video on it. Thankfully, the gameplay speaks for itself, but even I feel like something is lacking with its main cast. Overwatch and TF2 are some classic examples of having diverse and iconic casts of characters that sell the respective games on their own.
I have no idea!
That is the clip that convinced me to try TF2. A meme that took off way back in the day because of the way this expressive character was able to emote a fairly simple line, but that was enough. Whatever the reasons, it resonated enough to become a meme in and of itself. After first discovering that clip, I had to find the source, and ended up finding all the Meet the Mercenary videos. At that point, I had to try the game these characters were from. See, I didn't seek out the game because I was itching to play a new FPS or because I even knew anything about the gameplay. To be honest, TF2 was only the second shooter I ever played, only a few months after trying Halo 3. I was invested in this iconic cast of characters and wanted more. I wanted to experience the source material that they spawned from in the first place. Admittedly, that was a long time ago, and the internet has changed immensely since then. Websites and applications have been born and perished in time since. And the things we seek online and the way everything is marketed to us has changed considerably as well. In a different social landscape, maybe what worked back then wouldn't be as effective now. But I'm convinced that things wouldn't change that much here. Appealing character designs and personalities have a timeless appeal. I could be wrong, but I think that's just part of the human condition. We want to relate and resonate with the media we see and with the characters within said media. Which I guess is all just a long-winded way of me saying that Exoprimal's cast runs the risk of looking like a mass of expressionless robots. Now, why am I still harping on about this? Well, I can't believe I'm saying this, but what if, and I know this sounds crazy, but what if I get tired of killing swarms of dinos as an overpowered exosuit? I know, it's a blasphemous concept, but stick with me. What if I play round after round after round of this wacky ride of a game, and the original appeal begins to waver? The main face of any game are its characters, the avatars you embody as you play. Their appeal needs to persevere indefinitely. I mean, there's a reason people make such a fuss about character designs. It's important. So if they don't have that iconic charm that the other casts of characters have, then can they even carry their own game? Sure, it's worth noting that the exosuits all have unique voices and personalities, but that's a pretty low bar to meet if you're just talking about characters. It also does bring up a strange concept, since you play as one character, but your voice and personality supposedly change when you're in the mech? Or is the mech alive and you're just inside of it? I don't quite understand it, but maybe that'll be explained in the story mode. And yes, as they've shown in some of the trailers, there is some type of narrative to go with the game. That's always good for a game. I like a good story. Tales as old as time are a tale as old as time, after all. But hold on, look at that! Humans! Remember the last 30 minutes where I complained that the cast of robots might be lacking enough humanity to have collective appeal? Well, don't worry, there are unique human characters in the game after all. And you know what? I like them. They don't look half bad, they all seem to bring something to the table. Aside from not knowing much about the story and how it'll be implemented exactly, at the end of the day, the exosuits are still the face of the game, not the humans in the story mode. I didn't even know there was a story mode with additional characters until I found a recent trailer. That's all I'm really trying to get at. They look cool, but if you ask me to try and draw any of these robots from memory, or even describe them, I would struggle quite a bit. But then again, Gundam has a wide cast of highly detailed robot characters, and that's a super successful and well-known IP. And then there's also Transformers. Well, fuck me then. I may have just gotten caught up on a non-issue after all. Give me 1 second.
12 seconds later.
Okay, after some extensive research, I've discovered the real problem that I have with the cast. I hate Deadeye's face. I just don't like it. It's a boring orb on an already basic character. Sorry, bud, but you're bringing down the squad with your basic bitch energy. Let's just all agree that this is Deadeye's fault and move on, okay?
Okay.
And of course, we cannot talk about video games in the year of our Lord and Savior 2023 without talking about capitalism! The game is $60, immediately followed by a season pass. I love this game already, but come the fuck on! My understanding of live service paid content being in games was to support free-to-play games over longer periods of time. You can't charge full price for a game and then ask for seasonal purchases on top of that. I mean, I guess you can, but no one's gonna applaud you for it. Before someone goes, actually, yes, it'll also be available on Game Pass. Of course, that's only going to be applicable to a fraction of people who choose to play on Xbox, and only to those who decide to subscribe to it in the first place. So you can't really argue the game is free. They honestly have some serious Krieger-sized balls to set the price so high. I'd figure that they'd price something like this at $30 or something like that. The last thing you want to do with a multiplayer game is alienate so much of your potential audience. That's probably why they've tried so hard to market it. Then again, aside from a couple sponsored streams, I've hardly seen much talk about this game, so maybe not. I guess their goal is to tempt people with shiny robots and dinosaurs, so the players decide to swallow the $60 price tag. But god damn, maybe I'm a hater who doesn't believe in Capcom, but that seems so risky for a new multiplayer-based IP these days. Like I said, I'm already sold on the gameplay, and this video itself is a recommendation of sorts as well. God damn it, I should be getting paid for this. But that doesn't mean everyone else is sold on it. There are so many games floating around that people can always choose another cheaper or free alternative at any time. I mean, Fortnite is right over there. It's got Goku. I heard the kids like Goku. You really want to lose to fucking Goku? Then you should have Kamehame had the decency to lower the price tag! Not to root for the giant company, but for your sake, Capcom, I hope people do buy it. Now, what more is there to say about Exoprimal? It's good fun and a breath of fresh air in multiplayer gaming that I haven't seen for quite a bit. So long as they don't absolutely murder the game with dumb corporate decisions and hopefully advertise it a bit more closer to release, I think we have a great game on our hands. Will it be a quick fad for half a year, or is this game gonna hold on to relevancy for much longer? Only time will tell, I guess. Also, full disclosure, only while wrapping up this video did I realize and remember that Capcom is also responsible for Dino Crisis. Of course, Exoprimal is not Dino Crisis, but it makes me wonder, maybe because the company has this history of making a dinosaur game, they kind of have this confidence to make another one? I mean, you put dinosaurs in a game, there's dinosaurs in the game, but I just feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't at least bring it up. And, you know, dinosaur games I feel like are... What? I think someone's at my door. Sorry, hang on. I'll be right back. That's so weird. Did they ring the doorbell to my bedroom? My bedroom doesn't have a doorbell. Hello? Oh my god! Velociraptor! Ah! Oh!
eating me. Oh, it's tearing right through my flesh. Oh, God. Oh, the agony. Oh, I can't even find the words to describe how unbelievable painful and excruciating this is. Oh, what did I do to deserve this? Oh, is this because of what I said about Deadeye's face? Or are you a Deadeye main? I'm sorry. I said he was fun to play as. Oh, fuck. He's got my lungs! He just tore out my lungs! I don't know how I'm still yelling if he has my lungs, but you know what? At this point, I'm not even questioning it! Well, I guess that's the end of the video. Don't forget to like, favorite, comment,